Hello, Big Snack here. This video of today is going to be a direct continuation of the last video, and we now take a look at the last two books of the Stackpole Warrior trilogy. So, as the first one, the Battletech-inspired novels are set during the 30-35 succession wars in the Inner Sphere, where a great conflict is unfolding between the five houses. This is of course pretty nonsensical to those who don't know the Battletech universe, but if you start reading the books, you'll grasp it from the context, as I said in the first video. And again, in this book, Stackpole delivers a great story with very strong plot and potent characters. Although I won't deny this book suffers some of the same grievances I had with the first one, especially the fact that every once in a while one of the major protagonists unexpectedly acts completely out of character. You know, couples forming overnight and relationships based on trust form between apparently random strangers. It's pretty weird, to be honest, but as we know, literature is a form of pleasurable escapism for some. But I mean, within the context of a book where a galactic war is fought and unsavory people, very unsavory people reside, I would still like the characters to maintain some form of cool-headedness, that's to say, especially in the dealings with the opposite sex, which is a recurrent theme of the books. People getting tricked by other people of the opposite sex, but whatever. But despite the grievances, these last two books appear much more solid in scope and description compared to the first one. The protagonists are fleshed out in detail, their motives realistic, and their emotions far from corny. They interact with each other, showing how well an author such as Stackpole is able to portray people and not simply implement mere plot devices in a story. The characters are real, they're not there just to keep the story flowing. And I'm very happy to say that gone is the divergent storytelling of the first book. No more the intricacies of the characters, relationships and political strife meddle abruptly with cinematic descriptions of mech fights, which felt almost compulsory in the first book. In the last two books of the series, the dialogues, the scheming and the plotting, the bureaucracy and the political fencing of this last succession war take firm predominance in the book. And whenever a battle description appears, it doesn't feel out of place or forced in there just because Battletech requires big mechs to appeal to its audience, but it's natural, it flows really well and it complements the story. The dialogues and exchanges are vibrant, while the voices and thoughts of the people fit the context and the characters almost perfectly. The dramatic side of the story is much more prominent now, and I like it, and it benefits the books very much. And on the same line, the very mechs shift in perspective from almost individual and heroical items to war assets, extremely powerful yet devoid of mystical charm in the face of a great war. In the first book we had these mechs which almost had a character of their own. Now you see them for the big hulking machines and instruments of war that they truly are. The plot itself takes interesting turns, and Stackpole manages to keep the reader glued to the pages and very focused on the story. The weird Deus Ex Machinas that appear in the first book are almost non-existing now, and the narration flows very well, and it's driven by consistent motives and believable strategies and war efforts. You see a great conflict opening in front of you, and it feels real. It feels like it's something that could happen in an intergalactical scale. And what I liked very much too is that these last two books, maintain the same retro analogic feeling of the first book. It's almost nostalgic, as I said in the first video. You see dazzling the technological development is still bound by mechanical features, and you see an almost tentative approach to its applications by the characters in the book. You see spaceships capable of jumping from star to star with faster than light velocity, and they are stacked to the brim with crosswire and patched up components. It's all very mismatched. And that's because most of the more advanced technology is lost due to the pre-existing secession wars. And what remains now in the books is mostly the fruit of guesswork and hardcore field engineering. If you take a look at the Battletech official chronology, you'll see that later on the Inner Sphere and the clans actually managed to recuperate much of this lost technology and actually improve on it. This lost technology, this patchwork, this guesswork, this mismatched feeling in the technology setting of the book couples really well with the fact that this futuristic universe is dominated by nobles and in an almost weird display of futuristic feudalism. Feudalism of sorts. People get invited to parties where alliances are formed and treasons carefully plotted. Princes and kings worry about their hold and power and the continuation of the line, while mech warriors, the guys piloting those big mechs which shoot and stab each other and fucking destroy everything they find, fight each other under pretty strict codes of honor. It's very curious to see that in a futuristic settings. And overall, these books were a great fun read, and they definitely grew onto me. I definitely recommend the Warriors series to anyone willing to read a sci-fi saga with a retro feel and memorable protagonists. So that's pretty much 8.5 for the last two books of the series, which are Garde and Riposte, and a solid 8 for the saga in general. Yeah, that's all. See you next time.